If you've just had a cesarean section and you've been sent home with a pack of paperwork telling you how to recover over the next few weeks, but you can't quite get your head around, this video is for you. I'm going to be breaking down the recovery process in the first 4 weeks after having a cesarean section. I'm an obstetrics and gynecology doctor, and for years, not only have I done cesarean sections, I've counselled women about how to cope after a cesarean, and I want to share that with you today. By the end of this video, you're going to know what's normal, what's not, and when you need to seek help. I have created a postpartum red flag guide for you to download, which will highlight to you what symptoms are really concerning after delivery, not just a cesarean section, but any type of delivery. But in this video specifically, I want to make sure that you understand what the first 4 weeks of healing look like. This video is the first video in a series of recovery post-cesarean section. So in this video, I'll be doing weeks 1 to 4, the next video will be weeks 4 to 8, and the final video will be what happens months and even sometimes years after you have a cesarean section and what complications can happen then. So to get started, when you're having a cesarean section, the surgeon, often myself, cuts through the skin, the fat, the muscle, the fascia, so some thicker tissue, the uterus, and then delivers the baby. And then when you're being put back together, so to speak, then we're repairing the uterus, often with 2 layers, and then we're repairing the muscle, the fat, and then the skin. So you've got all these layers that have been cut through. On the outside, you'll see the skin and you'll see the scar on the skin. And when that's healed, that doesn't mean that all the other layers inside are healed. The actual healing process can go on for weeks and weeks. So bear that in mind with all the advice that you hear in this video today. Soon after you have the cesarean section, you'll be sent to the postnatal ward, and we like to do something called enhanced recovery. And I imagine that you would have had a leaflet, hopefully, prior to your cesarean section about what that looks like. And that's making sure that you don't go too long without eating. It's making sure that you're getting pain relief that you can have as tablets rather than through the vein. And it's about encouraging you to move as quickly as possible after having the cesarean section, because moving and mobilization, which we'll come on to, really does help your recovery process. Drinking lots of water, eating fruit and fiber, not getting constipated, because all of that helps and has been proven to help your recovery process. So now it's week 1. What you'll expect to feel is pain. So for that, you want to be, at least for the first week, taking regular painkillers. So paracetamol and ibuprofen is what we would use in the UK. I'm sure they've got different names elsewhere. So using those tablets regularly, not waiting for the pain. Because if you're on top of the pain relief, then you're probably able to mobilize better, which is helpful for you, because mobilization reduces the risk of blood clots in the legs. It helps the blood flow around the body and helps that whole recovery process. As with anyone who's just had a baby, feeling tired and emotional is really expected. But you might feel specifically after having a cesarean section like you've been hit by a truck. But like I said, mobility helps your recovery. So again, where you can, do it gently, do it slowly, but start to think about moving. Keeping your wound clean and dry. The dressing stays on for about 5 to 7 days, typically. However, depending on the type of dressing you're using, the advice around that might change. And I would definitely say that you listen to your clinician, midwife, or doctor that's looking after you. Once the dressing is off, you want to keep the area clean and dry. So yes, go and have a shower, but make sure you're patting it dry. Make sure that you're finding time, especially in that first week, to air it out and keep it dry. No oils, no fragrances, nothing fancy on that wound, because the main aim is to prevent it from getting infected. I have a video on this channel that talks about a cesarean section wound infection, how that can really affect your recovery. So make sure you go and have a look at that. Constipation is really common because you're taking painkillers. So although I said paracetamol and ibuprofen, sometimes for some people that's not enough. And then what they need is to add the codeine in on top. But codeine is an opiate, and that can also cause you to be constipated. So to avoid constipation, water, fruit, fiber, and even some laxatives, because what you don't want to do is straining the abdominal muscles as they're healing, just to empty your bowels. And also if you're constipated, that will contribute to your pain as well, which would make you take more painkillers, and round we go. Other tablets that you might be taking in that first week are iron tablets, because if you've had a cesarean section or any type of delivery, actually bleeding is quite common at the time of delivery. So what we do is iron tablets to replace or help your body regenerate more red blood cells. And the iron tablets in and of themselves can cause constipation. So making sure that you're doing all the right things to keep your flow and your bowel movement normal. It's not unusual to have a cough or a cold. And if that's the case, just making sure that you're using a pillow or supporting your abdomen so that you're not putting too much pressure on the tummy muscles. Other things as well that might put pressure, especially in that first week, is heavy lifting. So nothing heavier than your baby is the typical advice. So if you've got an older child at home, no carrying whatsoever until that healing process has gone a longer way and your pelvic floor and your abdominal muscles can support you and support them. The red flags that I want you to be aware of in the first week: if the pain is getting worse and not better, that's a red flag. If your bleeding is getting heavier and not lighter, that's a red flag. If you're feeling feverish, if you're not able to pass urine, you're not able to open your bowels, your tummy is getting bigger, all of these are red flags that I do list in my postpartum guide, and this is a reason for you to go back into the hospital and seek help. So let's move on to week 2. So week 2, you're probably feeling a little bit better, like you're feeling like you could go slightly longer between the painkillers, but you're still in recovery. I cannot harp on enough that the recovery process is longer than the 6 weeks that we're led to believe. So in week 2, what you might find is normal is that you're tired, you're feeling sore, and you might start getting a change in sensation around the wound where it's going through its own healing process. You're still bleeding, so you're still having the vaginal discharge that most and all pregnant women will experience, but it's getting lighter and not heavier. And a lot of the advice from week 1 still stands. Don't lift anything heavier than your baby. Keep mobilizing or gentle walks around the house, nothing vigorous, nothing exaggerated. Drinking lots of water, staying hydrated, keeping those bowels nice and loose. And if you notice, especially in this second week, you might then see that the red flags that would be concerning is if you notice things like swelling in one leg more than the other. So what we try and do is, for most women who have a cesarean section, depending on your individual risk factors around it, will be sent home with blood thinners, because pregnancy increases your risk of having a blood clot in the legs or the lungs. Going through a cesarean section as well, or a prolonged labour, will increase that risk. And then going home and having a really slow recovery if you're not moving as much will also increase that risk of having a blood clot. So blood thinners that would have been discharged that you're taking from the first week into the second week, and for some people up to 6 weeks, that they'll be needing those blood thinners. So it's really important that in this second week that you just continue to pace yourself. Don't get carried away. Don't get tricked by the fact that you're feeling slightly stronger. Don't do any housework, because the advice against heavy lifting is still there, like I've just mentioned. So just to summarize the red flags: if you're getting bleeding that's heavier, getting clots from the vagina, if you are noticing that you're getting swelling in one leg more than the other, that could be a sign of a blood clot as well. And those are some of the things, in addition to week 1 red flags, that would need you to go back to the hospital. So in week 3, you start to feel better. You start to feel like the body's healed. And I won't ever forget an interaction I had with a patient who had come in with pain around her scar and pain on her tummy. And as part of the process of asking her, how are you? How have you been? Have you been opening your bowels? Have you been passing urine? Just as a screening question was like, have you started having sex again? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh. And she was like, yeah, because I wanted to, which is obviously fine. But she was just over the 2-week mark into her recovery. On assessing her, she'd obviously felt that she was recovering well, she was going back to normal, she could go back to her activities. And then in the 3rd week had had this bit of a stumble that meant that she needed to come back to hospital. So oftentimes you might feel like, yes, I'm there, I'm almost back to normal, and start doing activities that might still be too much for your body to handle. And that might set you back a few days, a few weeks in your recovery process. So still take it easy. So what that means to do is carry on with the painkillers. So maybe you're not taking them as regularly as you were in weeks 1 and 2. Maybe you're taking them twice a day, or you're waiting for the pain to come before you take them. But don't forsake your painkillers at this point. If you were using codeine, I would expect in week 3 that the paracetamol and the ibuprofen were enough, because again, that's a signal that the pain is getting better and not worse. No heavy lifting, no housework, nothing that's pushing yourself beyond your boundary. Keep mobilizing, keep moving, going for walks in your house, going for walks outside the house, things like that are all of which are going to help your recovery. At this point, if you have had an infection brewing that's not been particularly obvious, you want to have a look at your wound, because there might be a risk of the wound itself opening up an infection that's been brewing that then starts to show. You might notice some sort of new discharge or a sudden increase in pain around the scar. And those are red flags that need you to come back into the hospital setting. In week 4, the scar is beginning to form. By this point, I would expect that the wound on the skin itself has healed. Your pain would largely or typically be expected to be under control. And so when I'm speaking to women as they're leaving the hospital, I often say, don't drive for the first 4 to 6 weeks. But the crucial thing that you need to know about driving is that you need to be able to do an emergency stop. Because obviously if you can think about the jolt on your abdomen, on your core, you need to be able to do that safely before you can get into a car. So at the 4-week mark, you might be feeling ready to start driving again or feel ready to get back into the car. And it still stands. If any of the symptoms from before show up in week 4, you need to go and see a doctor. A fever, swelling in the legs, pain that's getting worse, bleeding that's getting heavier. All of those things would still matter. If your wound has still not healed by this point, then think about bringing in practical wound care. So airing out the wound like we should have been doing from week 1. Don't put in any fragrances or any oils on the wound yet until it's perfectly healed. And we'll go on to scar massage in weeks 5 to 8. So stay tuned for that video when we talk about what we can start doing to get back to normal, scar massage, returning to exercise, returning to sex, things like that will be covered in the next video. Ultimately, having a cesarean section, the recovery is not a straightforward process. There'll be days that you feel great, there'll be days that you don't feel great. There'll be things that you can do to help your recovery process that I've hopefully listed in this video for you today. And you can't rush the process. It is major surgery, even though it's really common, 45%, which I have a video talking about how much more common cesarean sections are becoming. I also have a video on infections in the wound and what to specifically look for that I think would be really useful for you if you're in this season. And I will link those down below. And I have this free postpartum red flag guide that I would like you to download so that you can go through the concerning symptoms that might happen after having a baby, whether by cesarean section or a vaginal delivery. And if you know someone who's just had a cesarean section, send them this video so that they can put some of these tips into practice to help them along their recovery journey. On this channel, I'm making content for women who just had a baby, how to deal with the physical, mental, and the social changes that occur in the postpartum period and help you thrive. If that's something that you're interested in, subscribe to this channel, share with a friend, and until my next one.